There are certain places in this world that are so eerie they can send shivers down your spine. And when it comes to terrifying locations, few can compare to the dilapidated guest houses that litter the remote countryside of Japan. With their worn-down buildings and tales of restless spirits, these establishments have become synonymous with the paranormal. One such guest house is situated deep in the mountains, cut off from the rest of the world and shrouded in mystery. It's here we meet our host, an old Japanese man who's reluctant to share the details of his past. Despite his initial hesitation, he eventually reveals a chilling tale that will leave you questioning the nature of reality itself. According to the host, there are 2 ghosts haunting his guest house, both of whom met a tragic end in the same room, room 06. But that's not all. There's also evidence that the ghosts are still there, watching, waiting, and communicating through strange means. So join us as we explore the dark history of room 06 and uncover the secrets that lie within its 4 walls. The first ghost, Takei, was a man who booked a room at the guest house under false pretenses. He had made up a story about needing to hide from his wife, but in reality, he had come to the guest house to end his own life. In the early 1980s, Takei was a successful businessman in Tokyo. He had everything he could ever want: money, power, and respect. But behind closed doors, his life was a sham. He was trapped in a loveless marriage, and his only solace was the mistress he kept hidden from the public eye. However, his secret couldn't stay hidden forever. And when his wife found out about his affair, she threatened to expose him unless he agreed to divorce her and give her half of his fortune. Desperate to keep his reputation intact, Takei came up with a plan. He told his wife he was going on a business trip to Osaka and booked a room at the isolated guest house under the alias of Takei. Upon arrival, he checked in and retreated to his room, ending his own life by hanging. The next morning, the staff found him dead, and the news of his suicide spread like wildfire. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know more about the mysterious man who had taken his own life. But Takei's secrets were buried with him, leaving behind only questions and speculation. What was his real name? Why did he take his own life? And why did he choose to do it at this isolated guest house? To this day, no one knows the answers to these questions, but some believe that Takei's spirit is still trapped in the guest house, forever reliving the events that led to his untimely demise. Now let's move on to the second ghost. 1 year after Takei's suicide, a young woman named Hane Kawabe checked into room 06 without any prior reservations. She simply walked in and told the staff to give her the most expensive room available. Little did they know that this seemingly ordinary request would have extraordinary consequences. As the night wore on, the sound of loud voices and footsteps echoed throughout the building, startling the other guests. But when they inquired about the commotion, the staff shrugged it off as nothing to worry about. They had seen this kind of behavior before from foreigners who were drunk and disorderly. Oh, they assumed it was just another case of unruly tourists causing a ruckus. However, as dawn approached, the noise continued unabated. And when the guests finally managed to fall asleep, they were awoken to an even more disturbing sight. Kawabata was nowhere to be found. Her room was empty, and there was no sign of her anywhere on the premises. The staff immediately sounded the alarm, and a search party was quickly organized. But despite their best efforts, they were unable to locate her. No trace of her was ever found, and the mystery of her disappearance remains unsolved to this day. Some say she vanished into thin air, while others believe she may have been taken by the same force that claimed Takei's life. But the strange occurrences didn't end there. Every year, on the anniversary of Takei's death, guests reported hearing the sound of a woman's voice arguing with a man's voice inside the locked room 06. This unsettling noise would echo through the halls of the guest house, leaving those who heard it shaken to their core. Some even claimed to see the ghostly figure of a woman pacing back and forth inside the room, as if she were trapped there against her will. But what could this mean? Was it possible that Takei's ghost was still searching for his lost love? Or was there something more sinister at play here? Determined to get to the bottom of these strange happenings, the staff decided to board up room 06 and turn their backs on it. But even that didn't stop the ghosts from making their presence felt. One day, a new guest checked in and requested to be moved to room 06. He had heard the rumors, of course, but he was a skeptic and wanted to experience the room for himself. Staff reluctantly agreed and showed him to the room. But they warned him to be prepared for anything. As the night went on, the guest heard strange noises coming from the room next door. Footsteps paced back and forth, and then he heard a man's voice yelling and a woman's voice crying. Suddenly, the door to room 06 creaked open, and the guest saw the shadowy figure of a woman standing in the doorway. She looked at him and then disappeared. Terrified, he ran out of the room and checked out of the guest house immediately. Still, there were many who refused to believe that room 06 was haunted and decided to stay there anyway. That is, until they experienced the strange events for themselves. One such person was a writer who was intrigued by the guest house's dark history. He checked in and settled into room 06, eager to witness whatever paranormal activity it had in store for him. But he hadn't bargained for what happened next. In the middle of the night, he was awoken by the sound of someone walking up the stairs outside his room. Slowly, he began to hear footsteps pacing back and forth, just as the previous guests had described. But that was only the beginning. Soon he started hearing voices whispering in his ear, telling him to give up and go to sleep. At first, he tried to ignore them, chalking it up to the wind or perhaps the creaking of an old house. But the voices grew louder and more insistent, and he knew he had to do something. Eventually, he got up and started pacing around the room to try to drown out the voices. But no matter what he did, they wouldn't stop. And he spent the rest of the night in a panic, wondering what would happen when the sun rose. In the morning, he got up and quickly checked out, never wanting to return to that room again. Despite these terrifying experiences, some people still refuse to believe that ghosts are haunting. Room 6. They claim that the sounds can be explained away by the age of the building, and that the stories are nothing more than local folklore. But others argue that there's something more to these tales, something that defies rational explanation. After all, how can you account for the fact that the bedsheet is always wrinkled? And 2 teacups are found on the table every morning, even though no one has stayed in the room for years. These days, the room is locked up tight and no one is allowed in. Many of the guests swear they feel a cold spot as they walk by, and some even claim to see the shadow of a woman standing in the doorway. But despite the fear and uncertainty surrounding room 06, there are still some who dare to venture inside. For those who do, they often report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and sadness. Some say they can hear the faint sound of footsteps pacing back and forth, while others claim to see the ghostly figures of Takei and Kawabata standing in the corner of their eyes. Whether these accounts are true or simply the product of an overactive imagination, one thing is certain: the story of room 06 is sure to send chills down your spine. In the end, the truth behind room 06 may never be fully known, but the tales of those who have experienced its eerie presence firsthand are enough to make anyone's blood run cold. If you've ever wondered what it might be like to encounter the supernatural, then this room is definitely worth a visit. Just be sure to keep your wits about you and don't get too close to the shadows in the corner. You never know what might be lurking there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the terrifying story behind the ghosts in the mirror. Before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this one. So also make sure to turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a video. Without further ado, let's get right into it. There is an old house on the outskirts of a town in Michigan. The house was built way back in 1923. It has been abandoned for over 40 years now. There is a huge mirror on the ground floor of the house. People say that there are 2 ghosts who are stuck inside of that mirror. No one knows where these ghosts come from or how they got into the mirror, but once someone does, they can never leave. I will refer to the first ghost as Ghost No 1 and the second ghost as Ghost No 2. To begin, let's talk about Ghost No 1. One day, a young woman came across the old house. She was just driving down the road, and she saw the abandoned home. She had always been interested in urban exploration, so she decided that she was going to check out the old house. As she was driving down the road, she noticed that there was a huge mirror outside of the house. It was very dusty and dirty. But despite all of this, she could still see her reflection. She looked into the mirror. She didn't just see herself, but rather she saw another woman staring back at her. The woman seemed to be wearing a dress from the early 1900s. She was also smiling in a very creepy way. The girl who was standing in front of the mirror was very scared by what she was seeing. She turned around, but there was no one there. Then she turned back to the mirror, but the woman was gone. The girl decided to enter the house. She wanted to find out where the woman went. Maybe she would be able to find her and figure out what exactly was going on here. As she entered the house, she noticed that there were cobwebs everywhere and it was very dusty. The place clearly hadn't been touched in decades. She continued on and eventually came across the room with the mirror. When she entered the room, she noticed that the mirror had fallen off the wall. She looked into it and once again saw the woman smiling back at her. The woman beckoned with her finger for the girl to come closer. The girl did what the ghost told her and approached the mirror. She wanted to know what the ghost wanted from her. She got closer, she realized that the ghost wasn't friendly. The ghost lunged towards her through the mirror. The girl screamed and ran away. Now, some people believe that this was actually the ghost of a woman who killed herself. They say that she was so obsessed with her looks that when she got old, she couldn't take it anymore, and she ended up taking her own life. Now, her soul is stuck in the mirror. She is doomed to spend eternity looking at her own decaying image. She is very angry, and she wants to drag anyone else into the mirror with her. Some say that she only targets people who are vain and obsessed with their looks. But this is not the only ghost that haunts the mirror. There is another ghost that no one really knows too much about. I will call this ghost No. 2. No one really knows where this ghost came from. Some believe that this ghost is the original owner of the house. Back in the early 1900s, the house had a different owner. One day he disappeared without a trace. Some believe that he was murdered, while others think that he simply ran away from home and left his wife. Whatever happened to him, his body was never recovered. His wife died believing that he was dead. She died of a broken heart. Now both the husband and wife are haunting the old house. They're both stuck inside of the mirror. It is said that if you visit the mirror at night, you will see the two ghosts. They will be standing next to each other, and they will be staring directly at you. If you try to communicate with them, they will ignore you. And if you try to touch them, they will phase right through you. Eventually, the two ghosts will turn around and walk away from you. But when you turn around, no one will be there. This is because they are only visible in the mirror. If you turn around, you will not see them because they are already gone. Some say that if you go into the mirror, you will enter another dimension. This is where the ghosts are from. The ghosts are from another time and another place. They are stuck in our time and our place, and they are very angry about this. They want to drag anyone who comes across the mirror into their dimension. Once you go through the mirror, you will never be seen again. Your body will simply vanish from our world, and you will be trapped in the mirror world forever. Many years ago, a group of paranormal investigators entered the abandoned house. They wanted to gather some evidence of ghosts. Little did they know that the ghosts were far more powerful than they thought. They set up cameras and other equipment throughout the house. They spent the entire night here. They hoped that they would catch something on camera. They did end up catching something on camera, but it was not a ghost. In fact, it was far more sinister. When they reviewed the footage, they saw what appeared to be a dark figure moving around the house. It seemed to be stalking them. They also heard strange whispers in the background. The voices seemed to be coming from the walls themselves. The team tried to communicate with whatever was in the house, but it did not respond. It kept hiding in the shadows and only moved around when no one was looking. In the morning after, of course, the sun rose. They went to check the cameras to see if anything had happened overnight. The footage had been completely erased. They checked their equipment, and it seemed to be working fine. They had even put extra batteries in to make sure that nothing would happen. But somehow the cameras had turned off, and the footage had been erased overnight. The team decided to pack up and head home. They didn't want to stay in the house any longer. They knew that whatever was in the house was not friendly. Then, on their way out of the house, they noticed something strange. The mirror in the hallway had fallen off the wall. They looked into it and saw a dark figure standing behind them. The team screamed and ran away. They didn't stop running until they were far away from the house. They knew that whatever was in the mirror was trying to escape into our world. They knew that if the ghost made it into our world, it would cause all kinds of chaos. Luckily, they managed to escape. But some say that the ghost may have already slipped into our world. Locals say that the two ghosts are still stuck in the mirror and that they are still haunting the old house. They say that if you go to the house and knock on the door, the ghost will appear in the mirror and stare at you. Some say that they will reach out and try to grab you, but no one really knows what they will do. Locals recommend that if you ever see the ghosts, you should run away as fast as possible. They say that the ghosts are very powerful and they don't want you to see them. They want to keep you in the dark. So what do you think? Do you believe in ghosts? Have you ever seen a ghost? Let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts on this case. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, then you know what to do. Click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. I've been your host, and I'll see you next time.